The moment I step into the backyard, the laughter and chatter feel like a wall I can't get through. The sun is warm, but there's a chill that settles in my chest. Faces turn toward me, then quickly away, as if I've brought a shadow into the bright day. I clutch the paper plate in my hands, the edge digging into my palm more than I expected. It's supposed to be a family reunion, a chance to reconnect, but all I feel is distance. I scan the crowd trying to find someone to catch my eye, someone who might welcome me back after years of absence. Instead, I catch snippets of conversations, voices soft and lower just enough to keep me from understanding fully, but loud enough to sting. One cousin laughs, recalling a summer trip that I don't remember, because I wasn't there. Another talks about a shared joke from childhood, a story I was never part of. I feel the weight of being on the outside, an invisible thread that never quite tied me to this family tapestry. I try to remind myself why I came, to rebuild bridges, to remind them and myself that I belong. But every whispered glance and hesitant smile chips away at that hope. A knot tightens in my stomach, twisting with confusion and sadness. Why am I invisible here? Why do I feel like a stranger in my own bloodline? Memories flood back. Past reunions where I hovered at the edges, the one who never quite fit in. I remember the silence when I tried to share a story, the way eyes darted away, conversations shifting just out of reach. I taste the bitterness of exclusion, sharp and familiar. The realization settles. This isn't just a bad day. It's a pattern, a role I've been cast into over and over again. I consider turning around, slipping away before the weight becomes too much. But then out of the corner of my eye, I see someone approaching. Jordan, a cousin's friend, someone I barely know but who carries a warmth that feels like an unexpected balm. Jordan's smile is genuine, the kind that reaches their eyes and softens the corners of their mouth. "Hey," Jordan says, voice low but inviting. "You look like you could use a friendly face." I nod, swallowing the lump in my throat. Jordan motions toward a small circle nearby, where laughter bubbles up without exclusion. "Come sit with us. We're all a little weird here, but that's what makes it fun." I follow, heart pounding, the plate in my hand suddenly feeling lighter. The group welcomes me with open smiles, no whispered judgments or sideways glances. As I settle into the circle, a tentative warmth spreads through me, thawing the cold knot of isolation. For the first time today, I feel seen not just as a name or a distant relative, but as someone who belongs, even if just for this moment. Still, the shadows linger around the edges of my mind. The whispers haven't stopped. The memories haven't faded. But here, in this small circle of kindness, I find a fragile thread of hope. Maybe this reunion isn't just a reminder of what I've lost. Maybe it's a chance to find something new. I take a deep breath and decide to try again. With Jordan's reassuring smile still fresh in my mind, I weave through the clusters of relatives, forcing myself to start conversations. I mention the weather, the food, anything that might open a door, but the responses I get are polite, clipped, and distant. Nods instead of smiles, short answers that close rather than invite. It's as if I'm speaking a language only I understand, and the others are too polite or too guarded to tell me I'm wrong. At one point, I catch my aunt glancing my way, her expression unreadable. When our eyes meet, she offers a tight smile before turning back to her group, leaving me stranded in the middle of the yard with a sinking feeling. I realize these aren't casual barriers, they're walls carefully maintained by years of habit and unspoken rules. The family here isn't just cautious, they're protective of their inner circle. And I'm not part of it. Jordan slides up beside me, sensing the distance I'm facing. "It's not you," Jordan says quietly, almost like a secret. "This family has its own little cliques. They've been this way forever. Sometimes it takes a while for someone new, or someone who's been gone a while, to get in." I want to believe Jordan, but frustration bubbles beneath my skin. How long is a while? How much time do I need to prove that I'm not an outsider, that I'm still family? I feel the mix of hope and despair twisting inside me, a tangled knot of wanting to belong but fearing I never will. Jordan gestures toward a group laughing nearby. "See that? They've known each other since they were kids. Inside jokes, shared memories. You weren't there, so you're always going to be the new one for a while. But that doesn't mean they don't want you to stick around." I nod, trying to hold on to the thread of encouragement. It's a small comfort, but enough to keep me moving forward. I decide to stay, to fight through the cold politeness and the quiet exclusions, to carve out a space for myself even if it's just one conversation at a time. As the afternoon stretches on, I find moments of connection, brief smiles, shared stories with a cousin who remembers me from a different time, a laugh with Jordan that feels like a lifeline. The barriers don't crumble, but they shift just enough to let a sliver of light in. I'm not fully accepted, not yet, but I'm no longer invisible. For the first time since arriving, I feel a tentative sense of belonging. It's fragile and uncertain, but it's mine to hold on to. I lean into it, knowing that acceptance here won't be handed to me. It'll have to be earned, patiently and persistently. And with Jordan's kindness as my anchor, I decide I'm willing to try. Encouraged by Jordan's steady presence, I take a deep breath and decide to shift my approach. Instead of fishing for shared memories or trying to break into old stories, I start conversations about things that matter now. Books I'm reading, music I've been into lately, even the ridiculous plot of a TV show I binge-watched last week. The change feels small, but it loosens something inside me. It's easier to connect over what's happening now than to wade through years of history I wasn't part of. First, the reactions are mixed. Some relatives glance away mid-sentence, their faces unreadable. Others respond with the same polite detachment that I've gotten used to since arriving. But a few unexpectedly lean in. I find myself laughing with a cousin who's a fan of the same fantasy series, sharing recommendations. Another cousin, who I barely knew before, talks about their recent travel adventures, and I listen genuinely interested. These moments are fragile and scattered, but each one feels like a small victory. Jordan sticks close, offering quiet encouragement and gentle nudges. "See, you're finding your people," Jordan says, voice low enough that only I can hear. "It's not about the history you missed, it's about the connections you make now." I cling to those words. They give me permission to stop trying to fit into a mold I was never cast for, and instead build something new, something authentic. I start viewing this reunion not as a place where I'm sidelined but as a blank page, an opportunity to create the kind of family bond one wants, not one dictated by past exclusions or invisible hierarchies. Still, the old patterns don't disappear overnight. There are awkward silences, sideways glances, and the occasional reminder that I'm still on the outside looking in. A cousin jokes about that one family member who's always late, and I half smile, knowing it's a jab I can't quite place, but that's probably meant for me. I feel the sting but refuse to let it push me away. Jordan's insights help me navigate these moments, offering a map through the subtle social landscape. "They're testing you," Jordan explains. "Not everyone's going to welcome change easily, but your sincerity stands out. Keep being you." With that in mind, I push past the discomfort. I share stories about my own life now, what I'm passionate about, the work I do, the small victories and setbacks. I watch as a handful of relatives respond with genuine interest, their walls lowering just a bit. It's slow and sometimes exhausting, but I start to believe that acceptance here might come, not from trying to rewrite the past, but by embracing the present. By the time the sun begins to dip, casting long shadows across the yard, I feel a subtle shift. The air isn't as cold. The laughter around me feels less like a barrier and more like an invitation. I'm building something real, even if it's different from the family I imagined. And for the first time in a long time, that feels enough. A few hours into the reunion, the atmosphere shifts in a way I hadn't expected. The warmth I've been cultivating feels suddenly fragile, as if a cold breeze has blown through the gathering. Some relatives start exchanging glances, their smiles tightening just enough to feel like a warning. It's subtle, but I notice the change. Jordan leans in and murmurs, "Brace yourself. You're about to face some old family skepticism." I swallow hard and nod, bracing for what's coming. A cousin I hadn't spoken to before sidles up, her eyes sharp. "You're really sticking around, huh?" she says, not quite a question but not exactly a welcome either. "Most people don't last long here." Her words sting, but I refuse to let them break the tentative connection I've built. Looking her in the eye, I say, "I'm here because I want to be. I'm not going anywhere." A flicker of surprise crosses her face, but she quickly masks it. "Well, just don't expect everyone to be thrilled about it." I feel the weight of unspoken judgments pressing down, the invisible lines drawn to keep me at bay. It's a test of endurance, a challenge to my place within this family circle. I realize that acceptance here isn't just about kindness, it's about resilience. Jordan stays close, a steady presence amid the shifting tides. You're doing great, Jordan whispers. Don't let them shake you. The skepticism isn't limited to one cousin. Over the next hour, a few more offhand comments and subtle digs come my way. Questions about why I've been absent, implications that I'm stirring up trouble simply by being present. Each remark is a reminder of the unspoken hierarchy, a system designed to keep outsiders on the margins. But I stand firm. I acknowledge the feelings beneath, the exclusion, the suspicion, but I refuse to let them define my experience. When someone implies I'm causing drama, I respond calmly. I'm here to connect, not to disrupt. It's not easy. My voice wavers at times, but I hold my ground. Jordan's unwavering support feels like armor. Whenever I falter, Jordan offers a quiet smile or a gentle touch on the arm, reminding me I'm not alone in this. Together, we create a small island of understanding amid the storm of skepticism. As the evening wears on, I notice subtle shifts in the room. Some relatives watch me with a new curiosity, their expressions softening just enough to suggest they're reconsidering their initial judgments. It's not acceptance yet, far from it, but it's movement in that direction. I realize my presence is challenging the family's unspoken rules about who belongs and who doesn't. By refusing to retreat, by openly acknowledging the exclusion without letting it control me, I'm carving out a space where authenticity can exist. The reunion doesn't transform overnight. The walls remain high in many places, the old cliques still hold tight. But I sense that my resilience and sincerity have planted seeds of change, however small. As I sit beside Jordan watching the sun dip below the horizon, I feel a quiet strength growing inside me. This family may not fully embrace me yet, but I am no longer defined by their doubts. I am here standing firm, and that alone feels like progress. By the time the reunion winds down, the air feels different, lighter in some corners, charged with a possibility I hadn't dared to hope for. I find myself seated beside Jordan and a handful of cousins who, over the course of the day, have warmed to my presence in ways that feel genuine rather than obligatory. Their smiles are real, their questions sincere, and when they laugh at my stories, it's without reservation or hesitation. As the last rays of sunlight filter through the trees, I catch my reflection in the sliding glass door. The tired lines around my eyes seem softened by a quiet confidence I didn't have when I arrived. I'm no longer the outsider hovering on the edges. I've carved out a place, however small, where I am seen and heard. It's not perfect, and there's still distance with some family members, but it's enough to kindle hope. One cousin nudges me gently. "You know, it's been nice having you around today," she says, her voice warm. "Maybe next time it won't feel so strange." I nod, a mixture of relief and cautious optimism swelling inside me. I realize that belonging isn't a switch that flips instantly. It's a slow build, brick by brick, moment by moment. There's still work to do, barriers to chip away at, but for the first time I believe it's possible. Jordan smiles beside me, their eyes reflecting the same hope. "You've done more than just survive today. You've started something." I think about the family I imagined growing up, the easy laughter, the shared histories, the sense of home. And I understand now that family isn't just what you inherit. It's what you create. It's the connections you nurture, the kindness you offer, and the courage you summon to stand firm even when you're met with resistance. As I gather my things to leave, several relatives come over to say goodbye, their farewells warmer than I expected. One thanks me for sharing my stories. Another invites me to join a smaller gathering next month. These gestures, small as they are, feel like threads weaving me into the fabric of this family, threads I'm ready to hold on to. Driving away, the quiet hum of the car fills the space around me. I replay the day's moments, the cold looks, the whispered doubts, but also the smiles, the laughter, the tentative friendships. I realize that healing these family wounds may require patience from both sides, an acknowledgement of pain and a willingness to change. But sometimes I think the healthiest choice is to focus on the connections that help us grow, rather than the ones that hold us back. I pull into my driveway and sit for a moment before stepping out. The night is calm, the stars twinkling above like silent witnesses to this new beginning. I breathe deep, feeling a sense of peace I haven't known in years. Today wasn't just a reunion, it was a reclaiming of my place, not just in this family but in my own story. The road ahead is uncertain, but I'm no longer afraid to walk it. With kindness, resilience, and a few true allies by my side, I'm ready to build a family that reflects who I am and who I want to be. If you love the story, like the video and subscribe.